Hello, hi, hello everyone. Welcome to Beside Peaceful Waters. My name is Jordan, and today I am going to do kind of like a talk slash maintenance session. I've been, I've been in the aquarium hobby for about 6 months now, maybe 7 months, 7 or 8. Like May or June is when I first started like researching aquariums. And then I bought my first aquarium, which was a 10-gallon aquarium. And then I bought my next aquarium, which was a 5-gallon aquarium. And so, or I bought a 2.5-gallon, then a 5-gallon, then a 3-gallon. And so now, 8 months later, I have 4 aquariums. And so today I am going to do kind of a tour of the aquariums that I have, slash like maybe some slight maintenance. And kind of an overview of the tanks that I don't know, are now a part of my daily life and something I really love. And yeah, it's been an interesting journey the last 8 months. It's had its highs, it's had its lows, and maybe I'll mention some of those. But really I just kind of want to go through and kind of share the aquariums, share myself, share my journey. So I'm first going to dive into this 5-gallon aquarium here, and I'll give you a close-up. So this aquarium is a Fluval Spec 5 model aquarium. So it's a 5-gallon aquarium, and all the filter media and aquarium accessories are in the left over there. And it's home to these beautiful 2 guppies. We have named them. On the right is Geppetto, and on the left is Blaziken, or Blaze. And yeah, we picked them up a couple months ago from a local fish store. They were in a very packed fish tank, and so Geppetto, his tail is a little bit in recovery, but these two love each other. Even like right now when I'm near the glass and it's feeding time, they're probably like, where's my food? And yet they're pretty gentle, almost, I'd say like 99% of the time when I've seen this tank, they've been kind of peacefully coexisting like this and seeming really happy and always ready for food. The other inhabitants are, this is kind of like a shrimp island back here, slash Blue Mystery. This is Blue Mystery, the snail on the left, and he's the ruler. He loves to do things like go in and be like, this banana plant does not belong here, and why did you put that there? This is where I want to sleep. So like any maintenance session usually requires like a little bit of just like readjustment, but yeah, there's also about, I'd say 15 orange willy shrimp. And this is kind of a holding tank. I had 2 orange willy shrimp, and they reproduced, and I had 40 orange willy shrimp, and then about 25 of those have found new homes. I said between 20 and 25. I'm guessing right now there's between 15 and 20 in here. And yeah, they kind of like zoom out to the right quite often and just kind of, yeah, like one by one. And then, yeah, like there's usually a couple over here, like on the challah wood. There's a little bit of algae on that agate there. And like usually some in the grass. Quite often they like to hang out on this anubias leaf here. And yeah, there's a good amount of algae building up in this aquarium. And so I may need to get a nerite snail. And I think what I'm going to do now is a little bit of maintenance, because yeah, I'm just ready to kind of be able to look in here, and yeah, I don't think they mind the green, but it's nice when it's kind of a clear glass. So I'm going to do a little bit of that right now. And so that's the main maintenance on this tank. I just wipe down the glass usually. Yeah, it's probably been at least 2 weeks, maybe more like 3 since I cleaned it. And what I noticed cleaning the tank is that a lot of this Nubius has gotten kind of like almost looks stained by algae. This is coming off a little bit when I rub it, but you know, at some point I might take this Nubius and like rub the leaves somehow. I don't want to damage it, but I love this. This is one of my favorite Nubius plants, and so I mean, everything will regrow even if I did have to snip the leaves off. But I would love for these leaves to stay, and maybe I'll put it in a tank with a snail in it or something like that. So yeah, that's maybe the maintenance. It doesn't take too long. It's usually like, if I did it weekly, it'd be 10 minutes a week at the most. I'd say like right now I haven't been the most delicate, and so like I did, you know, unroot some of the dwarf hairgrass, which I put in about in the last couple weeks as well. I don't remember exactly when, but I put in this dwarf hairgrass, and there's no CO2 in this tank, and so like it's not dying. It seems to be doing okay, and I think the roots are growing a little bit, but it might take a little bit for it. If it is going to carpet, that remains a mystery. I put in some root tabs, and hopefully that kind of helps it grow, but I don't hate it the way it looks right now. Maybe at some point I'd experiment with adding like CO2 for a little bit to have it carpet, or maybe I'd just add in another carpeting plant to mix with it. I have no idea, but I actually really have been enjoying the look of this aquarium, and so it doesn't feel like anything's missing, and yeah, it's very easy for these to get uprooted. Blue Mystery sometimes has uprooted them, but mostly he stays on the glass or in that corner. I don't think he likes the feeling of it, because he doesn't usually go over these. But if there's someone in the very, very front, he sometimes will uproot those. And then I'll just kind of have to do what I do now, which is re-put it back in. I definitely could trim like some of these here, but I'm gonna leave them. I'm not feeling like in trimming mode right now. On the top I also have the water lettuce, which there was more in here and I took it off. It grows so fast, and so I put it in a different aquarium, which you'll see later on. Yeah, these guppies are just so wonderful, and they're really a joy to look at. I'm gonna give them a thank you. A thank you. Thank you for bearing with this maintenance on your home, but it's kind of like a loud vacuum cleaner. So that's about it for the maintenance. One thing to note with this aquarium is that this pump here in the back is actually kind of a air pump I had to buy. The pump I had with it died. I could just stop working. And this one makes some noises sometimes. Might need a little bit more water. I'll add it a bit later. I think it's, let's see here. Down a little bit. Yeah, this one I want to contact Fluval and maybe see if they'll send me a replacement part. But like, ethically I'm not sure, because like I totally could have just like done something wrong and it's my fault the pump died. Like maybe I was changing water. I don't remember that happening, but like part of me is like, maybe I should just buy a replacement part, because I don't know. But I will say, if this does happen to you, like be very careful, because I had gone out to buy this replacement part, and I bought this replacement part, but then it doesn't quite fit and it fell down behind it. And then I had 3 more guppies in here, and they swam through that hole, and I had the lid like this, and they swam out the back and jumped out. And so I had 3 guppies that died, and we really, really loved having the guppies we did have in here. These 2, we originally had 2, and then they were kind of fighting, and then got 3 more because that was a recommendation we got from many places, is that when there's all males, if there's like 5 of them, it kind of like helps diffuse it. And it was kind of, they all seem to be doing really well when there's 5, like they were all peaceful, and now they're peaceful, but it's really sad not to have 5 in there anymore. And it was really sad to lose 3 of them because we really loved them. And so, yeah, part of the hobby has been dealing with the unexpected. And yeah, I really have loved the aquarium hobby as a whole, and it's brought me a lot of joy. It's also raised a lot of ethical questions, which I probably won't get into right now, but I definitely have to roll with the cards I have, which is I have 4 aquariums and a lot of creatures that bring me a lot of joy and that I'm trying to take care of the best I can. And there's definitely ways in which I have failed in that, or I could have done better in hindsight. And that's something I have to live with or adjust myself to be able to do better in the future. This aquarium here is probably one of my favorite tanks at the moment. We had 2 orange really shrimp, and then they reproduced. We had 3, and something happened and they died. And I thought this tank was completely empty. And then about a month later I come in and I had unplugged it, totally turned it off, and then I came in, all of a sudden there's like 40 shrimp just like hanging out here. Let me give you a close-up. Okay, so yeah, there was like 40 shrimp just hanging out here. And the shrimp in the other tank, like I said, were like 20 of those shrimp. And then those shrimp get babies, or they got buried, or they had lots of eggs. And one by one, as I noticed the shrimp in that tank were getting pregnant, I brought them in here. And so there's been about, I call it the baby mamas tank, and there's been about 8 baby mamas in here. And so there's one here next to the Sirius stone. This tank is my least maintained tank because, I don't know, I love having it near the window. I think the shrimp love the color, or like the shrimp have so much color, and I think it's because they're near the window. That's totally my theory, and it's just guessing. But I don't mind the algae, and I think the shrimp love it because they just eat it. And yeah, you can see kind of the variety of sizes of shrimp here. And they just kind of eat the shrimp they eat the algae in the glass, and I give them some wafers. You can kind of see like a wafer that's getting eaten over here that I put in there yesterday. And yeah, there's like lots of like copepods, and like there's some limpets, and this is the tank where I'm just like, I don't really care what it looks like. I just want the shrimp to enjoy it. And it's kind of nice because I clean the other ones, and I try to keep them kind of more, at least like bi-weekly, if not weekly, and this one I'm kind of like, I'll do the water changes, I'll make sure it's safe, and then just like let go of what it looks like. And so I've got like an extra piece of manzanita wood that was from the other aquarium that didn't have a place, and I just put it in here because I thought they'd love it. And this chala wood I just kind of threw in. And all these plants were just kind of like extra plants that floated on other tanks, and I was like, I'm just gonna put them in here. I don't feel like replanting them. And there's a couple little filters and some moss, that's, and like this extra Sirius stone. And so, I don't know, it's kind of my least maintained tank, and also it's my favorite tank at the moment, just because there's such a variety of life in here, and the sizes of the shrimp. There's like tiny, tiny shrimp, and then slightly bigger shrimp, and then the baby mamas. There's 3 of them in there now. And yeah, and I brought the extra 25 into our local fish store, and they gave me $60 store credit. And they said they're not gonna order from anybody else these orange really shrimp, and then I can bring them in every time I have enough, and they'll give me some more store credit. And so, like, is gonna, I think, pay for my hobby. And it's kind of nice to be like every couple of weeks, every month, I'll bring in some shrimp and then I'll kind of get some new plants, you know, on the house. And then like these shrimp will have, you know, new homes to go into and maybe new populations of their own to make and new children, families to make happy, you know, or people to make happy, aquarists, you know, people like me that might just stumble upon it. And so there's a lot of joy in here. And yeah, I don't know, I love these little shrimp. And yeah, that's my other camera battery dying. I don't know, I just love these little shrimp, and they're such a joy to watch. And yeah, I'll do maybe some slight maintenance on this. Maybe I'll scrape down the front glass, just because it does make it a little bit easier to see into it. You know, I'm not going to actually. I think like for me, like I'm like self-conscious about like the standards of an aquarium that should be maintained, but yeah, I don't know, this hobby has to be for me. And I love coming in here and seeing the shrimp on the front glass eating that algae, and on the back glass eating the algae, and none of the plants in there are something that I feel like I'll probably reuse in another tank, and this tank is just a home for shrimp. And then once the baby mamas give birth, I leave them in there for a while and then bring them back to the other tank where they might have more generations to birth. And then like if I see some shrimp I really, really love in here, some perfectly colored ones, I keep those as well. Down here I have like some medical supplies and a little succulent bowl. Below that I have an empty tank that a friend was moving, and she had this extra thing and she just gave it to me. And so I think I might set up a walstad, like a pseudo walstad, a fake walstad kind of tank with like a filter in it, but like something that's really easy to maintain. And then my absolute favorites from here, to put them in there, and then kind of have them be like my prized shrimp. And this is some elephant stone. I love to go to, I kind of have one main aquarium store, which is called River Shore Aquariums. But I love going to other aquarium shops and just kind of getting something from them. So like this dragon stone I got from a place called Aqualand. No, wait, where? Yeah, I got the place called Aqualand. And I got this one here from another aquatic store, I think in the Twin Cities. I forget the name of it. And, you know, there's varying degrees to which I enjoy myself in different stores, but I feel like there's kind of a piece of each of them with me now, whether or not like they're kind of my main like go-to store. And so I got this one because it was elephant stone, and it kind of looks like an elephant to me, like the face and the ears. And so I thought that was really cool. And now I have this cool memory of going into that shop and supporting the local business. And these are kind of my aquascaping supplies here. The cord I tie things on, medical supplies, some super glue, a pen, a little mini scissors, and toothbrush. When I want to do like a really, really big maintenance sentence, that's funny. I want to go downstairs. Yeah, when I want to sentence myself to a long maintenance session, I kind of bust out the deep stuff. But like this aquarium room, it's also full of a lot of my grandmother's art. And so my grandmother passed away, and so a lot of her pastels, I'm trying to like block out the light, you know, are in here. There's, you know, a lot of them in here. And a lot of her college works, and it's kind of nice to have that. The other tank I have that probably needs a little bit of maintenance is back here. And this is, yeah, pardon a little bit of the morning stuff out on the counters. You have like a half-eaten like piece of chocolate bar from but yeah, I love it. Here's another one of my grandmother's pastels, or this is one of her oils, you know. And yeah, so this is kind of the other aquarium I have, which is my first attempt at a walstad aquarium. And let me put the light in here. I'm just reaching down to get the light. There we go. And so right now a lot of it's evaporated. I haven't really done too much with it. I put some water from the other aquarium in here, and then it had a bunch of creatures that, like little worms, I think they died, and that's what these little brown spots are. So I'm gonna put some more sand on top of that and refill this, and it actually looks quite beautiful when it's fully done. And so I'm not sure if that's a task for today, but yeah, that's my other aquarium. And again, it's very low stakes. You know, the plants are doing well, and it's still fun to look at, you know, to have. And then when the energy comes to do a bit more, I can do it. This is kind of our living room setup. Yeah, these are an assortment of plants that we have here. Like we have, you know, like all sorts. You know, I could name them all, but maybe not. Now it's not the right time. The newest one that we have here is this kind of like ficus-like tree. It's a banyan tree, and fiddlehead, I think, or fig leaf. This one, we humidify it. It requires a lot of care, but we love it. We got this one kind of for the holiday season. A monstera, some succulents, a little things back here. This is kind of, yeah, another one of my grandmother's oils up here. And it's kind of cool. Oops. Like, I like this one a lot because, yeah, you know, she made this decades ago, I'm assuming, and it's kind of cool to have like the winter scenery of her home in front of the winter scenery of our home. So yeah, so last night we had company here. We played some music and stuff, and I play the gongs, and I love sound, and we made a little like altar as like a centerpiece, and so the house is still a little bit unarranged here, but yeah, it still feels like a beautiful place to live at the moment. And yeah, like expectations on perfection just aren't there. And so the same thing goes for aquarium. Just like, I love the home I'm in. I think the fish are loving the home they're in. And you know, sometimes there's a little bit of a mess, and sometimes everything's exactly perfect. I love this little window. This is a jade plant inside of the elephant. And little moments of beauty. Now, our house here does have a little bit of a loud heater, but it's really cost effective. We don't pay much in electricity per month, and so I don't mind it as much. And this kind of brings us to our final, close the door. This brings us to our final room. It kind of turned into a house tour. So our last aquariums are downstairs. And yeah, I think on the left here, there will eventually be an aquarium. Right now it's kind of home to our crystals and some meaningful objects. And I love like opening the shades in the morning and just kind of watching the light come in on the crystals. And yeah, between the crystals and the plants and the aquariums and the fish and the aquatic plants, this home is just home to so much beauty and joy. And I really was unexpectedly surprised at how much joy I get through having aquariums. And so the final aquarium's here. I'll close the other door too. Excuse me here. I'm closing the door. And so back here we kind of have our library / meditation zone. In the very back, in the bathroom. I'm not gonna give you a tour of that place. but this is the first aquarium. This is our first aquarium, my first aquarium. This is the 10-gallon that we got. And here, let me see if the light's okay here. Here, I'm gonna close the shades in the back for a good visual. Okay, you can still see a little bit of the reflection in the back right, but I kind of like it because it's the people hugging each other or holding each other. And that's kind of how I feel about this community. It's just kind of held by the aquarium community. Yeah, I've done a lot of videos on this aquarium here on this channel. We have the 3 neon tetras and 3 diamond head neon tetras. Oh, It's so interesting. My light seems to get a dimmer. It's trying to adjust for the light. I hope that's okay for a visual. And then we have the aquatic, the floating plants are the newest addition, along with our dear friend Snowdrop, who is this beautiful powder blue dwarf gourami. And he is the most peaceful gourami I've ever seen. He just doesn't, unless I'm about to feed the other ones, or like they're kind of, I don't know, he's just so, he's like, here we go. He's just so beautiful. I love his tail, the way it kind of ripples. And the neon tetras, I think, so here's my plan, is I would love to get a 29-gallon aquarium. We have to see if we're going to stay here long term. We have about 4 months left on the lease, and we might have to find a new place. This was kind of a year-long lease, and we'll see what happens next. And so like setting up a 29-gallon aquarium right now feels like a question mark, but it's definitely something I've been dreaming and visualizing, because you know, these neon tetras, they seem pretty happy, but I think there's a lot more males than females, or since the beginning they've kind of chased each other even when they were babies. And so I think maybe if I get a 29-gallon aquarium and add in another 12 schooling fish, it might really help them be happier, you know, or to have maybe just more of a sense of comfort and ease. And it's not terrible, you know, but I think it's definitely something I notice, like there, especially when I'm like nearing feeding time, they're like, oh, like he's about to feed, let's get into position and I want to be first or something, or maybe they're just kind of like, you know, we have softer water, maybe there's, some people have said maybe it's breeding behavior, but whatever it is, I'm going to try out a larger aquarium for them at some point. I'd say that's like the biggest thing on my to-do list. But like no one seems incredibly unhappy, like no one's like hiding or super stressed, it looks like. And you know, a lot of YouTubers will kind of say like this kind of behavior is natural for fish, and I used to have outdoor cats, you know, and they would kind of every now and then be like, and so I don't know if this is the equivalent, like with each other, they'd be like, hey, this is my corner, or I don't want to play right now. And I don't know if that's true for what's happening here. And again, I do want to give them a bigger aquarium, but right now it's not enough of a worry for me to want to rehome them. I have a friend with a 55-gallon aquarium that maybe I could rehome them. But on the whole, they seem happy. And maybe I'll give them some more food here. But yeah, that's the one thing that I'd say is a little bit more challenging. It's one of those ethical questions that's like I'm talking about here. It's like, oh, do I rehome the fish? Or do I just kind of, you know, wait 4 or 5 months until I know I can build a 29-gallon aquarium and they won't have to move, and then they'll have all the space that they could ever want. Yeah, and there's a little bit more I could say on that topic, but I think for now maybe it's enough to end with the visual of this one. I don't think there's much maintenance that needs to be done. I think I'll give this a water change. There is kind of a surprise here in this corner. At one point I made like a quick video like setting it up, but it didn't feel right to, I don't know, I'm kind of determining my relationship to like the YouTube. And sometimes I realized I make a video and I'm not enjoying it as much because I'm trying to, or like, yeah, or just not, I don't know how to say it, like finding my center as I'm making these videos. And so this is kind of the next thing that's happening. This is the 5-gallon Top Fin Essentials kit. And I guess I'll say a couple of words right now. So I got it and the light broke. And so I went in there and they gave me a different light, and it's this color changing light, which you can make it stop. You can make it stop like changing colors. And it's kind of cool. There's like, let me see if I can find, I'm going to put It's kind of hard to do it with one hand. Sorry, the visual here is not the best for a second. But like, yeah, you can like press this button here. And when you press this button, like it changes colors. And that's super cool. So like, oh my goodness, like went in and it's a lot brighter than the previous light, and now I get to, you know, change the colors. There's no fish in here right now or anything besides plants. I'm kind of cycling it or seasoning it. But then like every time you turn it off, like let's say I wanted it to be on this setting, you know, like to stay here, like no color changing, just like a stable white light, I can turn it on and press the button and get there, you know. But then like if I turn it off and then I turn it back on, it goes right back to that default changing blue light to the different spectrum. And so like having any type of like timer, like, you know, I have in the back here, it's just really not as effective because I still have to come down and change it off the color changing. Like I don't know if I would, I think it probably will be a shrimp tank, like, but I don't know if the shrimp would like that or not, you know. Or if I were a shrimp, would I want to be in constantly changing light? I don't know. And so I might have to get a different light. And yeah, so these are all the things. So yeah, this tank is right now, it's seasoning. It's about 3 weeks in, I think. And yeah, I just added some hardscape and I attached some moss to the driftwood. Let me see here, see if I could change the light. There we go. And yeah, the good news is we have algae now. We have life. There's a little bit of fungus on the piece of wood to the right. My partner got this from me from Etsy, I think for like 10 bucks at one point, like months ago. And I put it in here, and then she also found this piece of driftwood and gave it to me. And so it's kind of cool. Like once this heater's out, you know, and I get like a properly sized heater, and like the algae's gone and cleaned up, and maybe some shrimp in here. I planted some bacopa, and I think it's Bacopa monieri in the back right, and a mystery plant. I don't forget the name of this pink one here in the back, but it's kind of melting a little bit. I hope it regrows. And then along the sides here, I put some Rotala rotundifolia, I think that is. And it's already been growing, and now it's rooted, and you can tell it's reaching up towards the light. I put one crypt, but I think it might not stay. We'll see. But yeah, I'm just kind of seasoning it, and then I might put some snails in there, something like that, to make sure everything's cycled. But I'm just kind of taking my time with it, and when I really have the energy, I put more energy into it, and that's just kind of where I am with the aquarium hobby. And so let me do one final video here. So maybe I'll just leave it there and say, yeah, like I'm loving this hobby. I love coming down here in the morning and just sitting and saying hello to the fish and giving them some food and sending them some love and watching the plants grow. And this aquarium here has been going for 8 months now, and it really is easy to maintain. And all I really do is I just take, here I either feed tubifex worms, or I kind of take some of this bug bites and I kind of crush it in my hand. See, they know the food's coming. And I just put some in like that. And have a grand old time. And I usually feed twice a day, sometimes 3 times. And it's one of my favorite moments in the day. Today I usually feed them around 9 a.m. Today I'm feeding around noon, and so they're quite hungry. And but you can see, like, you know, it's just pretty peaceful, and or yeah, just easy right now. And so right now it's more just a question of like, how can I make it even more enjoyable for me as like a fish keeper, and for them as, you know, occupants of this space I maintain. And so we'll see where things go in the future. Right now I'm really happy to have the privilege to keep these animals, and I definitely would have done things differently in hindsight. I might have just gotten a 29-gallon aquarium, um, and and hindsight's always 2020. And there's really, I don't know, I think overall I've done a pretty decent job, and I really love them, and I think they really love me, and some days they love each other, and so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've got some fish food on my finger. I'm just gonna put it like this. I usually feed about that much, sometimes a little bit more, but yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following along on this journey. I'm still very much like new to the fish keeping hobby and new to the YouTube hobby, and I felt so wonderfully inspired by everyone's comments, um, and yeah, I'm part of forums now, and I I might join my local aquarium society in Minnesota, and all sorts of things. And so yeah, thanks for following along. Thanks for the inspiration to do our maintenance. Thanks for the inspiration to kind of reflect, and yeah, I hope you all are well and curious. Like what people would advise here, I'm definitely open to like advice or perspectives. Um, and yeah, thanks for following along. And until next time, this is Jordan from Beside Peaceful Waters, and I hope you have a lovely day.